Hello, welcome back to the geography class. Today we are doing a topic that is very delicate and very important, floods. So in today's session, we are going to see causes of floods, impact of floods, solutions that have been put in place, and assessment of those solutions. So it's a case study, and that case study is of River Sebeya, located in Rwanda. You are welcome. So, starting with our key objectives, as I said, we are going to see the causes of flooding of River Sebeya. We are going to see some impacts that are due to floods of this river, to see how the government of Rwanda has tried to solve the problem of flood, and most importantly, to assess the solutions that have been put in place. So a brief introduction, because the case studies of River Sebeya that is located in Rwanda. Rwanda is a country that is located in East Africa and is landlocked. So because of its nature in terms of relief, it has plateaus and hills in the center, and the central part, and it has mountains in the western and northern part, and from that, it has been called a country of 1,000 hills. It has two main drainage basins separated by one watershed called Congo-Nile Crest, and this Congo-Nile Crest, as you can see on the map, it is on this red line. So this is the western part of Rwanda. You can see Lake Kivu, and now here it's Rwanda. West here is the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. So the chain of mountains that is here is what we call Congo-Nile Crest, which separates water from Rwanda that flows eastward and westward. So rivers that are on the east part of this Congo-Nile Crest constitute the source of Nile, so they form Nile drainage basin, and the rivers that are in the west part of this Congo-Nile Crest, they flow towards Lake Kivu, and they constitute the Congo drainage basin. So River Sebeya is located in the western part of the Congo-Nile Crest, so it flows in the Lake Kivu. Some brief introduction about some recent floods that have happened on this river. So it has been causing some problems in River district because the river starts in Ngororero district, it flows through Rutsiro district, and ends in Rubavu district, where it pours its water in Lake Kivu. So where it causes more problems when it is flooding, it is in its lower section, where it is almost pouring into its mouth. So that is Rubavu district. So in that Rubavu district, it has been causing some human losses, some infrastructure damages, and some economic losses. And because that was a very big issue, Rwanda Water Resource Board, in collaboration with the different organizations, they put in place landscape restoration and integrated water resource management in Sebeya and other catchments, so that this could be reducing the floods or even stopping. Major causes of floods in the catchment of Sebeya include silting in the river channel. So heavy depositions have been accumulating in the river channel, making it narrow. And those depositions are mainly due to mining, because there are mining sites in Ngororero district, and those mining sites use Sebeya water to clean minerals. So the sand that is left over is dropped or is dumped in the river channel, reducing its depth. Soil erosion also, because the river crosses steep slopes, it crosses mountains, there is a high level of surface runoff and causing soil erosion. So sediments are accumulated in the channel and reducing the depth, causing high risk of floods. Settlements also have been increasing in the catchment of the river, and as people increase in settlement, they increase surface runoff, like they increase cementation or concreting the soils, making them not more permeable. So as water or surface runoff increases, then also erosion happens and brings down some sediments. And most importantly, the problem with the settlements is because they don't have a way of harvesting rainwater, like using tanks, so they just let water flow off the roofs and they flow downwards, downslope, eroding the soils and accumulating those soils in the river channel. Another problem that is serious about silting is the erodible banks. The banks of this river are made of soft soils that can easily be eroded by lateral erosion. So after being eroded, sediments are accumulated in the river channel. Next cause, apart from silting, is heavy precipitation, because this area is close to the equator. So they have reliable rainfall, but very high, causing high surface runoff and quickly result into a high peak discharge. Steep slopes also play a big role in favoring river floods of this Sebeya, because as it rains, slopes quickly drain water from drainage basin, and it takes almost all rainwater to the river. You understand, it increases surface runoff, reducing infiltration, making the time lag very short, so the discharge can easily increase as fast as possible. Human development also caused some problems, like related to deforestation, as reducing interception. You understand, if deforestation happens, interception reduces, and more surface runoff will happen. They also made more concrete, increasing surface runoff and less infiltration. And they don't have tanks, as I said before, to harvest rainwater. So all rainwater from the roof of the houses flows down slope towards the river, increasing high discharge. Some impacts or some examples of floods that have happened before 2020. I'm saying 2020 because the management scheme started from 2020. So the impacts I'm talking about now are before 2020, so that you can assess the existence of the scheme from 2020 up to today. So on 3rd March 2018, heavy precipitation happened and the River Sebeya flooded. People who were on steep slopes were affected by landslides, and some sectors of Rubavu district, the 4 sectors, that is Nyundo, Nyakariba, Rugerero, and Kanama, were affected. 4,750 people from 950 households were affected directly. 950 homeless families were accommodated in the neighborhood communities, and on 7th May 2020, there also has been a heavy precipitation in the Shwati forests, that is in Ngororero and Rutsiro district, and this heavy precipitation caused heavy floods along River Sebeya. So these floods were intensified by these erodible banks that were short and favored water to divert from the main channel towards the surrounding areas. During this flood, a corridor Donyundo was flooded as its protection wall was destroyed by flowing water, so the school premises and compound was flooded. At the level of Petit Seminaire Donyundo, water also was entering in the walls and the houses. Some houses around that river also were destroyed, as some walls surrounding the river were also destroyed. Water was too much in the road towards Petit Seminaire and the road towards Nyundo sector office. Was too much. Even the bridge towards the bishop was overtopped, so people could not cross through the bridge. 4 roads were not used, were not able to be used during that time. There is the main road of Rubavu from Sanz, is the Hira Water Treatment Plant Road, Mahoko Center between the market and the main road. Kanama to Nyundo Bridge was also overtopped, and Mahoko Nyavirasi Road was also not used during that time because of floods. Upstream, at Kogabi, that is a sand extraction cooperative. This cooperative extracts sand from the river, making it deeper. Water also was so high, and it has been able to reach to the level of a wall that it was constructed by that cooperative, and it was to some extent that wall was overtopped. At the level of the gabions, where they had constructed some gabions to protect areas from flooding. Gabions were able to protect floods, but on another side where there are no gabions, flood was happening. So if gabions were constructed on one side of the river, the side that you had no gabions was flooded, especially in the tea plantation that was very seriously flooded. At Karambo River, where Karambo meets the Nyusu River, water was not too much, but because of lateral erosion, houses that were close to the river were destroyed. So where Karambo meets Isunyu water, those are two rivers that converge. That's what happened. 3 houses were destroyed by lateral erosion that caused the banks to extend towards the settlements. So these are some of the impacts. You see destroyed fences, destroyed houses behind here. You can see where water is invading the settlements and even farmlands. These are climbing beans that are being flooded. See these people that are invaded. See the road that was closed by flooding water. At the Gihira water treatment plant, see road is flooded. And Mahoko to Nyabirasi road, we see water is also too much in the road that you cannot use it easily. A corridor, you see it is behind there in the trees. And the wall was here and it was broken, it was destroyed, and water is just flowing freely in the school compound and the entering places. And the way the lateral erosion caused houses to collapse, the river is below here, so because of lateral erosion towards here, these houses were destroyed. This is the level of sand extractors, that is the Kogabi, I mean, where water has been able to go beyond the wall, protective wall, and flooded in the sand extraction. Some solutions that have been put in place so that this river does not keep on taking away people's lives, properties, and the economic, drawing down the economy or destroying even infrastructures. They are both hard engineering and soft engineering. In hard engineering, they have been able to construct embankments and gabions of at least 2.5 meters high so that flood water cannot be able to easily overtop. You can see some images of where the gabions are constructed. So rocks that are tied up by wires, and the embankment, those are the walls on one side. So this side is protected, but this side is not protected. That's why during that flood of May, of 7th, this side was able to be flooded, but here it wasn't flooded because it was protected. And they have also constructed a Sebeya dike in 2020, and it lasted for nine months. It has been operational from November 9th, 2020. And this was constructed in a way of diverting water from the main channel when there is a high discharge, and it retains water in the retention area up to 600,000 cubic meters can be stored in that dike. And the dike is constructed at 3 kilometers from the mouth. So you understand it is in the lower section, protecting settlements in the River district especially in Nyundo sector, Rugerero sector, downstream. And this dike has been very helpful from its opening from November 9th, 2020 to May 3rd, 2023. It has been protecting people from flooding. I'm saying until 2023, May 3rd, because on this day, there has been a very deadly and catastrophic flood on this river, as you are going to see it later in the assessment. So that's where this dike failed. So this is the map of the dike. So the main channel, the river is passing here. So with the blue arrows, it's written Sebeya. And the red dots here are showing the dike axis. It is a raised platform, a raised shape, if I can say, like a wall that separates the main river and the retention area. So water enters from this side, that is the inlet, and it comes to be stored in this whole retention area. And once it is too much, it can now start moving out, flowing out through the outlet that is here and go back to the main channel. So the intention is for the flood water to remain here for a certain period of time, giving time for rainfall to stop, and the river here during this time will be having manageable water that can fit in the channel, and this water will be released slowly, avoiding that the time lag becomes short and the discharge rises very faster. So it's a way of reducing time, increasing time lag, and keeping the discharge low for a long period of time. Another strategy they used is a dam that is still under construction. This dam is constructed in 15 kilometers from the mouth, so it is a bit upstream, and it has the ability of storing 3 million cubic meters. They are expecting it to be completed in July 2023. In other words, when this dam was, when this flood of May 3rd happened, this dam did not help because it is not yet complete, but is of good help in the future. So these are the progress of its construction so far. There, you can see the river is flowing from here towards there, but then the dam is being constructed in this zone so that the blue area here, I mean the green area here, will be acting as a storage or retention area. And here are the gates where water will be flowing out of the dam. So the gates are these ones, there are 9 gates or 9 outlets. Once the construction will be completed, we are expecting that no floods will be happening because this capacity is much. Another hard engineering that has been done is the diversion channels that have been constructed also downstream, and the diversion channels were also to help to take away some excess water from the channel where it is still narrow, and take away, bring back that water in the channel where the channel is wide. So where the channel is small and it cannot easily be widened because of settlements around. The channels were constructed so that they take away excess water from the existing channel, and then they join back that water to the main channel after the channel is now wide and away from the settlements. Dredging also is done by Kogabi cooperative that takes away sand that has been accumulated in the channel, so deepening it down. So that also increases the depth of the channel and increases its ability to hold water. Sandbags also are used along the banks, and some homes also use them to stop water from entering in their doors. As you can see here, this is the embankment, but where it ends, there is an evidence of some sandbags that have been used before to raise this bank so that this river does not go beyond. But even people here can use sandbags to stop flood water from entering in the houses. So apart from hard engineering, we also have soft engineering. Forestry, agroforestry, and the afforestation was also done to increase interception and reduce surface runoff, as you can see here on slopes. The river is down here. Bamboo trees were also planted along the river channel so that they can stop or reduce lateral erosion. Terraces were also done to reduce surface runoff, increasing infiltration. So 1,905 hectares were terraced in that district, in that flood, in that catchment of the river. But then they also have planted anti-erosive plants that are on the edges of terraces that act as the fodder for animals. And they also planted some fruit trees with double benefit. One, they provide food, but two, they also reduce, with the high interception, they reduce surface runoff. So 106,976 fruit trees were planted, mixed with the other crops. Most importantly, they also empowered people, the community, in terms of protecting their environment and improving their livelihood. So this helped in management of the, the strategies that were put in place, either the dam or the embankments, because people who are engaged in the management of the river were also the guardians of the existing measures. See, like 109 villages were formed to help in agroforestry, afforestation, terracing, and contour plowing. So they were sensitized to participate actively in these soft engineering methods. Families were given different cooking stoves that are very good at managing the firewood, so it is in a way of reducing the rate of deforestation. 1,811 improved cooking stoves were given out, so reducing how much firewood is needed to cook. It also reduces deforestation, so there will be more interception and less surface runoff. In this overall scheme, 14,000 jobs were created. So people who were given these jobs find it important to be responsible to keep safe the measures that were put in place. Families were also given some livestock, like 1,512 head of livestock were distributed in the local community. This is to provide them with the fertilizers to use in the terraces, and terraces with the purpose of reducing overland flow and increasing infiltration. So people, if they have the fertilizers to use in the terraces and get enough yield from the agriculture in the terraces, they were able also to create the terraces by their own without relying on the government to come and make them for them to use. 186 water tanks were given to the local community in a way of harvesting rainwater and reducing surface runoff. So some schools were given, and even some homes were also given. 101 villages were formed, especially in a loan giving program. This is in a way of helping them to sustain their economy and do not practice unsustainable agriculture or deforestations. So there was also a monitoring gauging station that was put in place so that they can be able to warn people downstream when the discharge increases. So it works 7 days, 24 hours, and this is located at 3 kilometers from the mouth. So it helps to warn people how the discharge is increasing on the risks of floods so that people can evacuate on time. So assessment of these infrastructures or assessment of these solutions, some challenges that are still in place is that in Ngororero district still sand is sent in the river by the mining sites. Still, we have heavy precipitation that causes soil erosion and increase silting in the river. That can be from soil erosion or even landslides. But a big flood that happened on May 3rd, 2023, it was caused by a heavy rainfall that was recorded 182.6 millimeters. That's what Meteo Rwanda announced that it has recorded in Mushubati station, and it is considered as the highest precipitation that has ever existed in Rwanda from when Meteo was recording. The affected districts are Rubavu, Ngororero, Rutsiro, and Karongi, and this caused excessive infiltration, excess and saturation overland flow, and so that could lead to floods. And some areas also had serious landslides. Generally, the country lost 131 people in all the affected districts, and the Minister of Emergency Management, Rwanda Case, announced that Rwanda needs at least 130 billion to repair the infrastructure that was affected, that is roads, bridge, schools, medical facilities, and so on. In Rubavu, especially where the management scheme was put in place, we experienced a very serious flood that started from 1 a.m. since the rain had started at 4 p.m. at 10 p.m. I mean, and in Rubavu district itself, they had 27 deaths and one missing child. And the gauging station did not help because the rain happened during night, so people were not able to be warned on time. And the newly made terraces were destroyed by saturation, over and flow, and they were eroded, increasing silting in the river channel. And the embankments were able to hold water in the channel, but because they are not everywhere, flood water overtopped the unprotected banks and caused floods behind the embankments. And this has been destroying used to manage river floods of Sebeya as follows. So mining still is taking place in Ngororero district, and it still sends sand in the river. So it reduces the depth and increases the risks of floods. Heavy rainfall still does erosion and causes landslides. So those increase silting the river channel, and as well increasing the discharge of the river. And most importantly, on May 3rd, 2023, there has been a deadly flood that happened as a result of a heavy rainfall of 182.6 millimeters, so 182.6 millimeters, and this happened in the night of May 2nd from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. That has been in the western part of Rwanda. And Meteo Rwanda announced that this is the highest rainfall that Rwanda has ever experienced ever since Meteo has started to record weather information, and it has been recorded in Mushubati station. The mostly affected areas or districts are Rubavu, Ngororero, Rutsiro, and Karongi. Generally, the country lost 131 people in all of those districts. And the Minister of Emergency Management, Rwanda Case, announced that Rwanda needs at least 130 billion to repair infrastructure that has been damaged by the flood. So we include roads, bridges, schools, medical facilities, and so on. So to be specific with the assessment of the scheme, the management scheme that was put in place in Rubavu district, you remember you had soft engineering and hard engineering. In Rubavu district, water started invading population at 1 a.m. So from that time, it forced residents to move out of their houses. very quickly without anything. So you understand that they were unable to take away any home equipments, and that's why it has been very hard to estimate the costs or the damages on people's property when it comes to home equipments. And in this district, 27 people died and 1 child got missing. When we come to assessment of each strategy here, gorging station did not help as much as it was expected because this flood happened in a surprising way when people were sleeping, so they were not able to get early warnings and move on time. That's why some of them wake up when they woke up when they were surrounded by water already. The newly made terraces were destroyed by saturation overland flow, and the eroded soil was taken in the river channel, shallowing it and enhancing the flood intensity. The embankments were able to hold water in the channel, but because they were not everywhere, floodwater overtopped the unprotected banks and caused floods behind the embankments. So they started invading the farmlands and the settlements. Bamboos that were planted along the river channel reduced the lateral erosion, but they were not able to stop floodwater from flowing beyond the banks. As you can see here, bamboos are still there. Some of them started to fall down, but you see the lateral erosion was managed, but still erosion, floodwater was able to go beyond the bamboos because they cannot still hold water in the channel. See, this is tea plantation that was flooded behind the bamboos. These are bamboos. The river is like here. Lateral dike with the capacity of 600,000 cubic meters was silted with eroded soil from the steep slopes, and it was filled with floodwater. Its capacity was exceeded and was releasing too much water. In the outlet, water was reaching at almost 1.5 meters. And the tea collection center that is close to the outlet was flooded at almost towards almost up to the roof. And that was a failure of the dam, of the dike. So as you can see here, this is the dike, and you see silt that is accumulated in the retention area. But then the tea collection center that was flooded, this is the level. See where it is wet, it is the level of flood, it's above the door. It means everywhere was flooded, almost up to the roof. In the outlet, water was from the bed of the outlet, it was reaching to almost 1.5 meters above the bed, and the width is about 6 meters. You understand that it was releasing too much water entering back in the river. So it increased water in the channel and caused flood downstream. Downstream. So the intention of the dike that was to hold water and release it slowly out as it waits for the rain to end and stop too much discharge in the river downstream was not achieved here because the dike was releasing too much water that is added to the river's water that is now in the channel. So downstream, they suffered a lot of flood. Here, the embankment, as I said, is here, but the water has been able to divert from where there is no embankment behind here, and it was able to flood in the farms behind the embankments. You can see the embankment is like here, but then the farm that is here is also flooded because of diversion of water, flood water, diverting from where there is no embankment. The flood diversions also were overtopped, and they were unable to hold flood water or to keep safe the area that they were protecting. And the flood water was at least 1 meter high above the walls of the buildings that were protected by those diversion channels. You understand this was a failure too. Impacts of this flood, it impacts the lives of people, it impacts lives of property, of animals, livestock. Some properties were also damaged, farmlands, infrastructure, and natural environment. So a summary about impact on people's life: 27 people died, 30 were injured, 1 was missing. Homeless families were very many, and they were put in the camps. And students spent 3 days without school in the affected area. And spent livestock, 40 goats were lost or dead, sheep 56, chicken 2021, rabbits 85, and pigs 105. The affected farmlands, the beans farmland that is lost was 64 hectares. The cassava farmland 4 hectares, maize farmland 25 hectares, banana farmland 14 hectares, tea plantation or farmlands 49 hectares, sugarcane farmlands that were destroyed are 29 hectares. Then the affected infrastructures, 7 schools were affected. Damaged roads are 29. Damaged electric poles 16. Completely demolished houses 1,604, and this made people homeless. Partially damaged houses that were in need of repair 1,750. The main road Musanze Rubavu was crossed by water, not crossed by flood water, and it remained unusable or closed from midnight up to 8 a.m. and the roads were eroded sideways. Impacts on other properties like Fundati factor was also crossed through by a strong flow of floodwater that is off-road because the river branched from the main channel to the settlements. Some water followed the road, and too much current, too much water flow was in the road, and then diverted towards from that tea factory. So too much water was crossing the tea factory, and too much reconstruction or repair is needed. Lost home equipments and possessions were not able to be counted because none was able to take anything out. So houses that were invaded, some of them were completely destroyed. Others, water took everything that was in the house and flew with it downstream. So the officials were unable to count how much home properties were lost. Mahoko Trading Center was also flooded and no vehicle could pass. Water has invaded some shops, and the goods were seriously damaged by water and mud that is carried by erosion. So here are some images of the flood. This is Mahoko Center, Trading Center that was flooded. This is Mahoko Car Park. This is Kabirizi settlement. So some houses were destroyed, others are still standing. The same settlement, Kabirizi. This is the track that was taken away by the running water off the road. And you see that the water also has been able to erode the side of the road. This is the tea plantation that is flooded. As I showed you here, this is the tea collection center that is flooded up to almost 1.5 meters. There are so many videos that have been collected during the flood, and I have put them together for you. If you want to see live videos that were caught on camera on that date, May 3rd, 2023, type in YouTube live flood videos in Rubavu district on May 3, 2023, and this is the link. You'll be able to see them. Thank you for watching.